ABC Amba TV. You're watching ABC Amba News, Prime Reports on ABC Amba TV. You're watching ABC Amba News, Prime Reports on ABC Amba TV.
Fellow Ambazonians, dear countrymen, despite the hike in targeted summary execution of our innocent people by Paul Biya's killer squads, I still believe we are now at the twilight of our political daybreak, emptying the combined worth and wealth of a lifetime fortune into the country of our collective dream.
A place we can surely call home.
At last, my people, the wind of total liberation is sweeping through Ambazonia, our priceless inheritance.
The land of our forebears.
A place we can surely call home.
A few years ago, a vicious dictator declared war on our sovereign nation of Ambazonia. It is a war we did not seek nor provoke, but are determined to muster every strength we can harness and continue sending the message to our enemy that we have risen to call no more.
We have paid dues for everything. We pay tax for goods we buy. We pay fuel in our cars. We pay hospital bills and the dues for all other sacrifices.
I can give all I have for the one hope that I have.
Because I hate my CID, and I should be proudly Amazonian.
Let's get it straight. The freedom of Ambazonia will not depend on the free will of our enemies.
Independence will be but days away if we get it right with our CID level.
My dear comrades, I am appealing to every Ambazonian to register with the CID program.
We have no control over our distorted history, but with our CID, we can set the pace and determine the future of Ambazonia.
Yes, the hope for the future is in our hands. As an Ambazonian, my identity is conclusive. My right is guaranteed. My vote will always count as I pay my CID.
As an Ambazonian, I will shape the future with my CID.
With your CID of just $10 per month, the interim government is contract to fulfill all that you wish to be done.
Let us build the freedom mansion from the little blocks, which is our CID levy.
There will be food for everyone, hope for every child, justice for every citizen when we pay our CID levy.
Yes, the dream we can realize. With my compulsory independence dues, CID, I have the opportunity to give to the next generation a greater nation, better than we inherited.
Yes, CID program is freedom made easy, freedom made cheap, freedom for Ambazonia now.
Marshal No Pity triumphs once again against occupation forces. Ghost towns reinforced. Secretary Chris Anu says every courtroom in Ambazonia must be brought down. Zalmay Khalilzad says militants agreed not to enter Kabul. These stories and more in this broadcast of ABC Amba News.
Don't you hate it when that happens to you? When it does, you need this and this and this. When it happens to me, I always know where to go. When you've got professionals on your side, your problems don't stand a chance. What are you waiting for? Contact them today and let them take care of your problems.
Hello and welcome to ABC Amba News. I'm Cynthia Williams. We begin our news today with a success story. Field Marshal No Pity and the Marine Forces of Bambang once again triumph against the forces of occupation. Yesterday's triumph brought a wave of excitement all across the national territory and beyond. Almost 20 Cameroonese armed forces killed. 2 armored vehicles probably donated by France set ablaze. 9 sets of protective gear alongside 14 sophisticated AK-47s, 12 pistols, dozens of cartridges, uniforms, and other hardware were seized. This has been almost as similar in other LGAs in recent days. Some activists say La République du Cameroun is the highest supplier of weapons to Ambazonia. Robert Bate has the details.
Nobody life. Nobody life. Nobody life of Bamisi.
Within the past 3 months, the number of casualties inflicted on French Cameroon Army is alarming. The expendables of Ndian, the buffaloes of Balinyonga, the marine forces of Bambalang, the Bull Warriors, the Red Dragon of Lebealem, the Fako Action Forces, the Manu Ghost Warriors, and a host of other forces all over Ambazonia have proven without any iota of doubt that all they needed was the moral support of Ambazonians to kick out the invading French Cameroon soldiers. The Amba Peace Plan, backed by the Amba War Draft, have clearly shown that Ambazonians are ever ready to see an end to the killing of innocent civilians by empowering the restoration forces. It is not late for doubting Thomases and those still sitting on the fence to join the moving train and draft for their counties and LGAs. Some months back, a certain Paul Atanganji said the war is over and just pockets of resistance were left to be cleared. a statement that seemed to have motivated the Ambazonian restoration forces to multiply their efforts to flush every invading foreign forces and administrators in their land just to prove Atanganji wrong. However, these actions, especially those within this week, are expected to resurrect or boost up the spirits of some Ambazonians and LGAs that went to sleep. Similarly, fighters in other countries and LGAs are also expected to draw inspiration and take up the courage to learn from the bravery of other Ambazonian restoration forces and make everywhere in Ambazonia a red zone for the invading French Cameroon soldiers. As it is known, war is first fought in the mind with a determination that you are fighting a just cause. It is not in frightening acronyms used by French Cameroon armies such as the B, RAS, GME, JP, and government lackeys that have turned out to be mere names with no motivations. As of recent, over 80 French Cameroon soldiers have deserted and fled either to Nigeria or surrendered to the Ambazonian restoration forces. Within this week alone, in the northern zone, over 30 French Cameroon soldiers have been killed in multiple attacks by the Ambazonian restoration forces. 7 military were killed in Kikaikilaki over the weekend, 2 military in Miseje, 2 military in Che Street, Bamenda, 1 police officer at Weiraut Nkwen, 17B in Bamesindo. These recent actions also serves as a very strong message to organizers as well as those planning to host the African Cup of Nations in Amba land. The interim government earlier sounded a stern warning and called for cancellation of such events in Ambazonia territory. According to IG's statement, the lives of any athletes or supporters cannot be guaranteed. Robert Bate on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
Ghost towns reinforced, momentum rekindled, strategy successful. Contrary to contraventions and unfounded insinuations from the minority wing of individuals and groups, the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, says this was no show of strength. It was about the people, and the people have spoken loud enough. Mike Fusey has the details.
When the lockdown of the entire territory of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia was declared by the interim government, there were speculations with regards to its anticipated success or failure, or the rationale for the declaration. 2 days into its implementation, it is safe to say that it has been a resounding success, but for a few areas whose success isn't yet fully implemented. This success came despite some futile efforts by some group leaders and even some generals who tried without success to rouse the population into disobedience. Speaking against such tendencies, the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, in an audio message to the nation, reiterated that the lockdown is not a contest between those who want the lockdown and those who don't. He said it is rather meant to demonstrate that the problem that caused the displacement of our people into the bushes, and that the problem that caused more than 150,000 of our citizens to run into refugee camps in Nigeria, and that the problem that caused the destruction of our towns and villages, and that the problem that caused the death of more than 30,000 of our citizens has not been solved. He wondered aloud how the non-respect of the lockdown was going to help those calling for it. To sum up the president's statement, he asked how those calling for the non-respect of the lockdown of Ambazonia, in agreement with La République du Cameroon, can still claim to be fighting for Ambazonia when they already agree with everything that La République says. President Dr. Samuel Sako finally stated that the lockdown is not a show of strength, but that it is rather about the people, and that the people have spoken loud and clear for all to hear. In other news, yesterday, September 16, 2021, will go down in infamy as one of the darkest days in La République du Cameroun since great-grandfather Paul Biya declared this unjust war against Ambazonia. Field Marshal No Pity and the Marines of Bambalan sent shockwaves down the spine of La République du Cameroon when two armored cars that had violated the lockdown declared by the interim government were brought down in grand style together with their contents, with the use of the latest tool in their arsenal of the Ambazonian restoration fighters, being the RPG. It must be recalled that this tool was tested some weeks ago, and it was said then that it will henceforth be a game changer in the war between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon. Several high-caliber weapons and ammunition were taken from the destroyed vehicles. It is therefore safe to say that going forward, there is no safe means of traverse for anyone, including La République du Cameroon military and or their colonial administrators who chose to violate the territorial boundaries of Ambazonia. This action falls in line with the purpose of the lockdown as declared by the interim government, which is to send a message to the international community that Ambazonians have taken back their country and that they ought to recognize this reality and grant Ambazonia the restoration of its independence. ABC Amba TV got the following messages coming out of Ambazonia since yesterday. The first message goes to La République du Cameroon, hello. And the second message, African Union, can you hear us? And another one, the European Union, are you there? And the last one, to the United Nations, can you smell what Ambazonia is cooking? It can only be hoped that they are listening because given what we've seen so far, Ambazonians are determined and capable of doing even more in the days ahead. Mike Cluzy on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are joined by our political correspondent, Tar PK. Thank you, Tar, for joining us. Now, news is just reaching us that out of the sum of 89 billion FCFA needed for the purported reconstruction of war-stricken southern Cameroons, the La République du Cameroun government says it has been able to acquire just 10 billion since it launched the project. According to Balungeli Ebune, director of the cabinet at the Prime Ministry, the major constraints over the past year has been insufficient financial resources. What do you think? We have heard the arguments of a few individuals and groups contesting strongly the interim government's decision to lock down, even though the nation of Ambazonia largely respected the ghost towns during the past days. Do you think this was a proper calculation owing to the pain the people are currently faced with? Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to future updates. Every courtroom in Ambazonia must be brought down. This categorical statement was made by Chris Anu, Secretary of State for Communications and IT for the interim government of Ambazonia during last night's lockdown updates on ABC Amba TV. Let's watch.
Ambazonians. These are Ambazonians. You see their names. From the right, from the left to the right, you have Waimeli Gidas. Then you have Reinhalidi Monkefo. Then Elangwe Kevin. Then Conte Patrick. These are the gentlemen that French Cameroon last week sentenced to death by a firing squad. Again, these are the guys French Cameroon last week sentenced to death by firing squad, ladies and gentlemen. The first guy on your left, Gidas on your left, we learned that Gidas was arrested before the Kumba incident took place. The other guy, Munkefo, they say, is a boy of about 20 years, and he is a bike rider. That is the second from the left. He was a bike rider, and you can see from his face, he's a young guy, 20 years old, and they say he was a bike rider. He was just arrested in Fiango Market. He was arrested, now listen ladies and gentlemen, he was arrested in Fiango Market by Nambere and 2 soldiers in Mufti. Then you have also Patrick, who is wearing the t-shirt with Giving Chi. He said Patrick is a taxi driver coming from Douala to pick up his belongings to go back to Douala, and he was picked up at his own junction. Now we are told that Kevin was returning from his carpenter's shop and was arrested at his own junction. He was returning from his carpenter's shop and was arrested by French Cameroon soldiers, ladies and gentlemen. This information we are giving you now is first-hand information. We are able to have communication with these guys, and we are getting this information directly from the source. That is what happened. But French Cameroon has sentenced them to death by firing squad. Now, this is what is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Last week you listened to me. We are banning every courthouse, not just in Fako, not just in Boyao Fako, but in all of Ambazonia. We are banning, and if you are a lawyer, please stay away from the court. If you are a court clerk, a magistrate, procureur general, or to call it procureur du gouvernement, or what, I don't know that French, ladies and gentlemen, procureur du gouvernement, or something like that. Please stay away from Ambazonian courts. They will be shut down indefinitely, until we reverse this decision. Every courtroom in Ambazonia will be shut down. This conflict, this war began over the legal system, the injustices of the legal system in Ambazonia, inflicted by La République du Cameroon. We cannot be in the Anglo-Saxon heritage, and we are practicing civil law, French law, in our territory. Can you imagine that all the judges that sentenced these 4 guys to death by firing squad, they are all francophones, French Cameroon citizens. I mean foreigners, ladies and gentlemen, in our territory. I have said it here, and I will repeat it. Whether you kill them or not, no court will be open in Ambazonia. You can go out the next day and open them, but I can assure you, you open it for 10 days, one day will be for Ambazonia. I can assure you that. You go to court and you think nothing is happening, nothing will happen. I can assure you, as they say in the proverb, 99 days for the thief and 1 day for the owner. That is what is going to happen to every court and every human being who violate this instruction and set foot at any court in Ambazonia. The Ambazonian Restoration Forces, listen to me carefully. Ambazonia Restoration Forces, listen to me carefully. Every courtroom in Ambazonia must be brought down. Every courtroom, and you can say that I said it. Yes, you can say I said it. They have invaded our private lives. They have invaded our institutions and destroyed all of them. They will not use those same institutions to lord over us and to decree firing squads over our people in our own territory. If we let that happen, that means we do not have control over the land. If we allow them sentence our people and shoot them and kill them by firing squad, that would mean we do not have control over the territory. We must go after every institution of French Cameroon called court, all the so-called colonial divisional officers and their mayors, everybody elected, chosen, handpicked from Yaoundé and sent to Ambazonia. Go after them. Go after them and make sure we are free, and free indeed.
Regarding the Guterres
These
lockdown,
are Ambazonians. You see their names. From the right, from the left to the right, you have Waimeli Gidas. Then you have Reinhalidi Munkefo. Then Elangwe Kevin. Then Conte Patrick. Conte Patrick. These are the gentlemen that French Cameroon last week sentenced to death by a firing squad. Again, these are the guys French Cameroon last week sentenced to death by firing
ladies
squad.
And gentlemen, once again, we are joined by our political correspondent, Tar PK. Thank you, Tar, for joining us. Now, news is just reaching us that out of the sum of 89 billion FCFA needed for the purported reconstruction of war-stricken southern Cameroons, the La République du Cameroon government says it has been able to acquire just 10 billion since it launched the project. According to Balungeli Ebune, director of the cabinet at the Prime Ministry, the major constraints over the past year has been insufficient financial resources. What do you think?
Yeah, Cynthia, thank you for having me on this news program again. I am excited to be here. I can tell you very quickly that is a scam alert. It's a fraud. What I get from that message is that their accounts are dry. The war in Ambazonia is already getting too expensive for them to finance. Now come to think of it, who are they deceiving? The cabal in Yaoundé that is making such a statement and trying to mobilize for funds. As I speak to you right now, they are still the architects of crimes against humanity in southern Cameroon. Just about 2 weeks ago, a young man that was supposed in Oketunja, in the village of Oketunja, was killed. Many families are losing. These guys are still slaughtering babies. They are burning down houses in Tibet. Not just long from today, they razed down a whole village. The images are out there for all to see. So who are they deceiving? You know, one of the things is they have borrowed too much, and partners are not interested in borrowing no more. I'm not sure if China wants to effectively invest. Why? Because the worth of anything that makes what you call a republic in Cameroon or French Cameroon is in southern Cameroon. And that's why they want to kill everybody in southern Cameroon to own the country. They want to take it by force. And that's why they are in a project of annihilation. They want to erase the peoples of Southern Cameroons because of their resources. The economic sabotage. I think there's some aspect of good news in this. The economic sabotage and strategy of the interim government is working. They don't have enough money. So this is just fraud. I want to tell you, sometime around 2018, 2019, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, did mobilization with a pretext that he wanted to provide sustenance for the internally displaced and the people affected by the war. But we know, and we have been well informed, that was money meant to finance his evil acts. He recruited boys, the fake Amba boys that are creating havoc, kidnapping and doing a lot of things. We know Atanganji did that. So it's just a flop. It's fraud. I tell you, it's fraud.
We have heard the arguments of a few individuals and groups contesting strongly the interim government's decision to lock down, even though the nation of Ambazonia largely respected the ghost towns during the past days. Do you think this was a proper calculation owing to the pain the people are currently faced with?
Cynthia, you see, there's something I want to say in response or reaction to what you just asked. This struggle is not some theater art. It's not some drama. It's not cinema. Anybody can have a talk show. Mark Zuckerberg has made it very easy for everyone to make a speech on Facebook and to say whatever thing they want to say. But the best way to qualify policy is work done, results. We are all seeing the results. You're seeing what the restoration forces, genuine restoration forces, permit me to say genuine restoration forces. You have seen what they're doing. We all are excited. We have seen the Amba peace plan that is a success. It's working. Results are coming. You can see structures. You understand? Pilot structures being put in place by the interim government that are working. You see, the danger of the evil side of politics is when you just want to take the opposite side without even reasoning. The president sent out a message earlier today, and he was like, these individuals don't seem to realize that they are working for the oppressor, not for Ambazonians. The oppressor says no lockdown, they say no lockdown. The oppressor says schools should resume because of their agenda, political agenda. There is an argument in high offices about the situation on the ground, the collateral, the humanitarian collateral damages. And we want to present an argument. First of all, that our people have been able to take over their land. And I don't know what some of these individuals actually have been blinded because of ego, because of evil, and they just don't seem to reason. Some of them are actually aware that the policy of the lockdown was a great idea, but because it didn't come from them. I was watching one of these guys, I think John Baakuru. Somebody brought his video to my attention, and he was trying to discredit the Amba peace plan. His points were too weak, using tribalism. These are individuals, it is either they are just wicked, they are just ignorant, or they have chosen to learn. Before you lead a people, you need to know who these people are. Our people can easily relate with their communities. And that's why there's something called in Cameroon, the Njangi is a success. And that's why the credit union became a success after the Southern Cameroonian Bank, then called Cameroon Bank, was destroyed. And that's why it became a success, a big success, because our people can easily relate from family, community, household. And that's what the Amba peace plan is all about. You know, mobilizing and defending our counties, LGA by LGAs, identifying the people. This strategy has helped us to be able to reduce the infiltration that is planned by French Cameroon. In most communities now, the families know who is defending them. And this idea, let me quickly say this idea that perhaps Ambazonians are against the restoration forces as a way to cower down the lockdown is a falsehood. These boys are fighting in their communities. They are fed by the communities. They are protected by the communities. We just saw a video on social media the other day. A Bulu guy from French Cameroon spraying bullets in the apartments of civilians simply because they identify the improvised weapons that were planted by the restoration forces. That now you realize the restoration forces are even well trained. These are guys that have never done any military training, but their performance is way better than an army that purportedly should have received some training. I hear the Israelites have trained them, the United States have trained them. So what did they get? So wickedness has made them to be evil. Now, the question whether it was bad judgment should be answered with the results and the impact that it will surely create at the UN Security Council. We are seeing the results, and some of them are staying quiet now because they too can see for themselves that either they misjudged the intention of it. The president has said it outrightly. It was not about showing power. We do not need to use the interim government does not need to use the lockdown to show the strength of the Ambazonian restoration forces. And the Ambazonian restoration forces have been trained or programmed not to fight Amazonians or proxies or minority groups struggling here and there, but to fight one enemy, and this enemy is French Cameroon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to future updates. Regarding the Guterres lockdown, the Department of Health and Social Services has outlined succinctly a healthcare advisory plan for the well-being of Ambazonians in the entire national territory during the precise ghost town days. Let's watch.
In light of the lockdown called for by the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, and in an effort to prevent any harm that may occur to healthcare workers commuting to and from work, the Department of Health and Social Services of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has sent out this advisory, and I read: Urgent Healthcare Advisory to citizens and healthcare workers of Ambazonia during the Guterres national lockdown. Cognizant of the changes involved and the risk that may occur with any form of circulation within the period of the strategic national lockdown of Ambazonia, Christian de Guterres lockdown from September 15th to October 2nd, 2021, as designed by the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, the Department of Health and Social Services hereby advises the people of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as follows. All healthcare facilities within the national territory should proactively make available temporary accommodations/shelters for healthcare workers within hospitals, pharmacies, and any medical institutions. All healthcare workers are therefore required to make arrangements to temporarily stay within the confines of their healthcare facilities for the required time of service and the national lockdown days. All Ambazonian restoration forces are also required to make appropriate use of the interim government's health and social services logistics, the DHSS hotlines, the IG first aid kits, and also facilitate accessibility to healthcare facilities, pharmacies, and medical institutions in the event of any casualties and/or emergencies. In this regard, we wish to thank all Ambazonians for their resilience and the selfless support of our healthcare volunteers within the entire national territory. This is signed by Dr. Emmanuel Tita, Secretary of State for Health and Social Services of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
This is the state of the struggle with your anchorman Chris Anu, Ambazonia's spokesperson.
Fellow Ambazonians, this is a very critical alert that I bring to you today. I am Chris Anu, your communications secretary, and today is Friday, September 17, in the year of our Lord, 2021. Again, this is a very critical security alert, and please, should it get into your hands, pass it around immediately. Again, pass it around immediately. This security alert has to do with all of Ngo-Ketunjia and part of Bui, precisely the Banso area. Again, the Banso area in Bui. Now, this is what we know. La République du Cameroon held a meeting. Their military held a meeting in Yaoundé today, Friday, and there was one early, very early in the morning in Bamenda. This is what is going to happen. It is the piece of intelligence that has come to us from those who attended these meetings. French Cameroon soldiers are going to invade Ndop and the immediate surrounding villages. Again, French Cameroon is going to invade Ngo-Ketunjia, Ndop area with thousands of soldiers, and they are targeting Ndop and the neighboring villages or towns of Bambelang, Bamesing, and Bamali, Bamunka, Babungo, and Baba One. Again, the villages to take note of these critical security situation are Bambalang, Bamesing, Ndop area, Ndop town, Bamali, Bamunka, Babungo, and Baba One. The French Cameroon army, we are told, is going to invade these towns and villages, and anybody they come across will die. Anybody they come across will die. Please listen to the sound of my voice. This is a very, very critical security alert. Please pass this message to get into the home of everybody in Ngo-Ketunjia. And we also understand they are going to invade certain villages in Banso. In Banso, we hope if we get more clarification on this particular one, I will bring it to you. But if you are in Banso, the Ambazonia Restoration Forces in particular in Banso, please take particular note of this piece of information. This is for real. French Cameroon soldiers are invading Ngo-Ketunjia, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, any moment they will do so. Now, we want everybody in Bambalang, in Bamesing, in Ndop, in Bamali, in Babungo, in Baba Wan, please do yourself a favor, move your family out of wherever you are now in any of these places. Again, move your families out. We don't know where you move to, but please look for a hiding place somewhere else, not in your home. You don't want to sleep in your home until this is over. They're going to be burning homes. They will be burning homes. This is sure. But I got a message, ladies and gentlemen. I got a message for La République du Cameroon soldiers and their colonial officials in Yaoundé and in Bamenda. Any person that is killed in Ngoketunjia or any home, any house burnt down in Ngoketunjia, we will retaliate. We will retaliate with the same action in neighboring French Cameroon towns. If one person should die or be killed in the hands of French Cameroon military anywhere in this raid by French Cameroon soldiers, we will carry out the same level of retaliation with no mercy, ladies and gentlemen, with no mercy in the neighboring towns of La République du Cameroon. We are sending a warning to French Cameroon soldiers. Dare not burn down, dare not kill, dare not arrest any innocent people. You guys provoke this war. You want to fight the war, go and meet No PT and the Marines and fight the war with them, and not with innocent people who have nothing to do with the decimation of your soldiers yesterday. So please, if you if you live in Ngoketunjia, you live in Bambalang, in Bamising, in Dop, in the Bamale, in Bamunka, Babungo, Baba Wam, please, you don't want to sleep home. It is very, very dangerous. But once more, we have warned La République du Cameroon. A single home is burnt down anywhere in Ngoketunjia or in Bansop, we will retaliate. Ambazonia Restoration Forces will retaliate in your own neighborhood in French Cameroon. I hope, please, everybody get this message. Do us a favor, spread this word to get out into everybody in Ngoketunjia and in Banso. God bless you all and remain strong. He is on our side. Again, this came to you from Chris Anu, your communications secretary, and thanks for listening today.
This is the state of the struggle with your anchorman Chris Anu, Ambazonia's spokesperson.
And now for international news. Zalmay Khalilzad says militants agreed not to enter Kabul and to discuss the future government before the president's swift departure. Our correspondent from Lagos, Nigeria, Eunice Momo, has the report.
Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani's exit scuttled Taliban power-sharing chance. U.S. envoy Zalmay Khalilzad says militants agreed not to enter Kabul and to discuss the future government before the president's swift departure. The U.S. negotiator on Afghanistan has said that President Ashraf Ghani's approach exit scuttled a deal for the Taliban to hold off entering Kabul and negotiate a political transition. In his first interview since the collapse of the 20-year Western-backed government, Zalmay Khalilzad, who brokered a 2020 deal with the Taliban to withdraw U.S. troops, told the Financial Times that the insurgents had agreed to stay outside the capital for 2 weeks and shape a future government. The U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, testifying before Congress this week, also said he spoke to Ghani on 14 August and that the Afghan leader agreed both to work on a transitional government and, if the Taliban reneged, to fight to the death. Blinken said Ghani gave no warning he would leave the next day. The Afghan-born Khalizad, a senior figure in George Bush administration who was tapped by Donald Trump to negotiate a withdrawal, has come under fierce criticism in Washington after the Taliban takeover. Khalizad, who said he was surprised Biden kept him, did not take responsibility for how the war ended, saying it had been to Afghans to reach a peace deal. Eunice Momo on Prime Report with ABC Amba News.
The United Nations Security Council adopted a statement Wednesday encouraging Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan to resume negotiations under the auspices of the African Union to swiftly conclude a deal on the controversial megadam on the Nile. Again, Eunice Momo has the story.
The United Nations Security Council adopted a statement Wednesday encouraging Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan to resume negotiations under the auspices of the African Union to swiftly conclude a deal on the controversial mega dam on the Nile. The pact should be a mutually acceptable and binding agreement on the filling and operation of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam within a reasonable time frame, the Security Council said in a declaration drafted by Tunisia. The members of the United Nations top security body also invited all observers who would be acceptable to the three parties in the disputed project to continue supporting the negotiations with a view to facilitating resolution of outstanding technical and legal issues. The Security Council calls upon the three countries to take forward the African Union-led negotiation process in a constructive and cooperative manner, the statement said. The dam was the subject of a Security Council meeting in early July, even though its members have differing opinions on the need for the body dedicated to world peace to take on a subject related to water supply. Ethiopia had criticized any involvement of the Security Council, contending that the African Union was better positioned to help resolve the conflict. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, said to be Africa's largest hydroelectric project when completed, has sparked an almost decade-long diplomatic standoff between Addis Ababa and downstream nations Egypt and Sudan. In July, Ethiopia announced that the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam was ready to produce electricity after completing the second phase of filling. Ethiopia says the project is essential to its development, but Cairo and Khartoum fear it could restrict their citizens' water access. Eunice Momo on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
And now for business news. Private sector companies can find practical solutions to enter and grow in Africa's agricultural market. Agriculture in Africa has a massive social and economic footprint. More than 60% of the population of sub-Saharan Africa is smallholder farms, and about 23% of sub-Saharan Africa's GDP comes from agriculture. Yet, Africa's full agricultural potential remains untapped. In a recent analysis, we determined that Africa could produce 2 to 3 times more cereals and grains, which would add 20% more cereals and grains to the current worldwide 2.6 billion tons of output. Similar increases could be seen in the production of horticulture crops and livestock. Realizing Africa's full agricultural potential will require significant investment. Sub-Saharan Africa will need 8 times more fertilizer, 6 times more improved seed, and at least $8 billion of investment in basic storage, not including cold chain investments for horticulture or animal products, and as much as $65 billion in irrigation to fulfill its agricultural promise. Much investment will also be needed in basic infrastructure such as roads, ports, and electricity, plus improvements in policies and regional trade flows. We will bring you more updates on the state of agriculture on the continent in future broadcasts. And now in sports news. The Super Eagles of Nigeria remained 34th in the world and 5th in Africa in the latest FIFA Coca-Cola World Ranking. The Nigerian male team had dropped 7 points in the previous world rankings. The latest ranking showed that Super Eagles have accumulated 1492.37 points as opposed to its previous 1479.58 points. This after Gernot Rohr's Super Eagles won 2 World Cup qualifiers. Senegal, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco top African teams' rankings. Meanwhile, England leapfrogged cross-channel rivals France into 3rd place of FIFA standings published on Thursday. Belgium and Brazil retain 1st and 2nd spots respectively, while England makes their first appearance on the podium in 9 years on the back of 2 wins and a draw in recent 2022 World Cup qualifiers. France paid the price for 2 draws and a win to go fourth. European champions Italy and Copa America winners Argentina sit in 5th and 6th places. On Monday, we will bring you detailed highlights of the Premier League. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the news we have for you today. On behalf of all of us here at ABC Amba News, I'm Cynthia Williams. Thank you for watching.
Don't you hate it when that happens to you? When it does, you need this and this and this. When it happens to me, I always know where to go. When you've got professionals on your side, your problems don't stand a chance. What are you waiting for? Contact them today and let them take care of your problems.
Pretty baby, you are the soul who snaps my control. Such a funny thing, but every time I'm near you, I never can behave. You give me a smile and then I'm wrapped up in your magic. Music all around me, crazy music, music that keeps calling me so. Baby, close to you turns me your slave. Come and do anything with me, baby, you want to. Anything, baby, just let me get next to you. Am I insane, or do I really see heaven in your eyes? Bright as the star that shines up above you in the clear blue sky. How I worry about you, just can't live my life without you, baby, come here. Don't have no fear, oh, is there a wonder why I'm really feeling in the mood for love? So tell me why, stop to think about this weather, my dear. This little dream might fade away. There I go talking out of my head again. Oh baby, won't you come and bring our 2 hearts together? I will make you strong and brave. Oh, when we are one, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid. If there's a cloud up above us, go on and let it rain. I'm sure our love together will endure a hurricane. Oh, my baby, please, won't you give me a release from this awful kind of misery? What is all this talk about loving you, my sweet? I'm not afraid, not anymore, not like before. Can pull yourself together, won't you please? My heart's on fire, I'm still watching you, I've been watching you, my darling, my, oh, my darling, my sweet, oh, pretty baby, you make me feel so good, I wanna take you by the hand, come, let's live it out there, in that new promised land, maybe there we can find a good place to keep a loving state of mind. I'm so crazy about love, never knowing what love is all about. Come on, James Bay, you can blow now if you want to, we're through. I love that song.
You're watching ABC Amba News, Prime Reports on ABC Amba TV.